the past 7 years, I've been in 42 countries about the world, and I have had discussions with numerous individuals who are involved in the alien abduction phenomena. I've come to believe that approximately 15% of these individuals may have an object within their body as the result of the alien abduction phenomena. We look at both the metallurgical and the biological findings. We find some very astounding things. We find that the metal objects are covered with a very strange soft tissue membrane, which is actually attached into the metal. Now that goes far beyond our scientific abilities. We find also that in the surrounding tissue, there are large amounts of nerve cells which are not correct for the particular area. These are called nerve proprioceptors, and perhaps they are responsible for giving the energy supply so that this becomes a functional object. When we look at the metallurgical findings, we find that there are several unusual things. For example, the objects being metal and highly magnetic contain large amounts of iron. But yet the iron is amorphous iron. It's without crystalline form. Now, I was able to find through black budget laboratories that we do know how to make amorphous metals, but we don't know how to make them magnetic, so that's quite an anomaly. And then the next most telling metallurgical finding is that when we look at the isotopic ratios of some of the metals within the objects, we find that they are non-terrestrial isotopic ratios. So, to sum up, we see individuals who allege alien abduction. They find an object within their body which is verified by an X-ray, a CAT scan, or an MRI. They have some distress from the object. They want them removed. We accept them as a candidate. The object is removed, submitted for scientific analysis, and then we find things like non-terrestrial isotopic ratios. Then what is a logical person going to conclude, other than the fact they are telling you the truth? One of the most unusual objects that I've come across recently is an object that was in the arm of an abductee, and this object moved underneath the skin. When you touched it with your finger, it would move out of the way. And after putting your finger on the area for a while, it began to come to your finger. It would go in the opposite direction. You could move your finger someplace and the object would actually come towards it. Very, very strange, hair-raising, skin-crawling thing to witness, even for me being in the medical field for over 41 years.
The alien visitors that we have here have technology that permits them not to just go from a planet within a solar system to another planet within that solar system. They have devised ways to travel vast distances, hundreds, thousands of light years in a very short period of time. We are trying to acquire that same technology.
Some years ago, I had hypnosis and discovered that I have been an extraterrestrial abductee since childhood. But the reason that I went into hypnosis was because I discovered a very disturbing 3-month block of missing time from the time that I was in the military, in the Air Force. When I did finally have hypnosis to discover what happened to me during that missing time, it was very disturbing. I was taken out in the middle of the night to the radar site that I worked on at the Tonopah Electronic Warfare Range. Out there, they had us trying to track extraterrestrial spacecraft or possibly reverse-engineered spacecraft. It was a frightening event, not that the craft were frightening, but the circumstances were frightening. After we tried the test, which it didn't seem to me that the radar was tracking the UFOs or the ET craft, we were put on a vehicle and taken to what I believe was Area 51. While there, I was injected with an unknown substance. I was taken down a very long flight of stairs and thrown into an observation room while I went through the effects of the injection. It was intensely traumatic. As I was recovering from the effects of the injection, I was dragged out of that room and sexually assaulted by 2 security guards. Now, obviously, this is not any woman's girlhood dream to stand in front of a camera and tell people this kind of thing. But I do tell it because I hope that in the telling that I can illustrate that there are things going on in our government that are far and away out of control with no checks and balances. National security and secrets kept for reasons of national security no longer serve the people that they are supposed to protect.
I was in command of 10 nuclear missiles. The guard was extremely agitated, very fearful, screaming into the phone, saying he was looking at a bright, glowing red object just outside the front gate. All the guards were out there. Their weapons were drawn. At that point, we got a lot of bells and whistles, alarms. The missiles started to go no-go, which means they couldn't be launched. All in all, we lost nearly 20 missiles to UFOs. This is very significant that UFOs seem to be focusing on our nuclear weapons facilities. They're trying to send us a message, and that has to do with getting rid of all nuclear weapons on this planet.
The military's whole goal was to create a series of satellite bases to then launch a series of missiles or tubes, if you will, up to the moon, and then have a series of astronauts go up there and just screw all these tubes together and create sort of an instant moon base that they could then have the high ground of space. And it was called Project Horizon. Project Horizon was probably getting 20 times more money than NASA was getting at that time. So the whole NASA thing was just a front, but it was the civilian peaceful pursuit of space, while the military rather savagely went after the military application of space.
The military mind has prevailed, and the U.S. is going to spend hundreds of billions of dollars to put a base on the moon. And a couple of things bother me about that, I guess. First of all, if the moon is used as an advanced base for some of the extraterrestrials, as has been widely rumored, I don't know what kind of reception the American pioneers will get when they get there. And secondly, the amount of money that's involved to use it on a project as questionable as this, when millions of people are starving on Earth for lack of proper food and water and medical care, I just think is a very, very bad way to spend resources. And I just think frankly, I think it's immoral.
For what purpose? For the purpose of maintaining the permanent war economy on this planet in defiance of the will of the people of this planet, i.e. giving them informed consent, in defiance of the proper care of the ecology of this planet, where we're caretakers of what is, in essence, a universe commons. The human race does not have right, title, and interest to this planet.
To date, we've never had any situations where they were hostile. We've been hostile, but they haven't been hostile. We have had situations where we would shoot at them, and here again, it's human to go ahead and strike out at something you fear or something that's unknown. And that's the nature of the human species.
The NRO has now developed radar which tracks the extraterrestrial light ships in the next dimension over. So this is the deployment of practically the entirety of space weapons against the friendly, integrated, higher plan, universe plan for the positive evolution of this planet.
I personally believe that Eisenhower did indeed meet with these extraterrestrial off-world astronauts. I would like to submit to our nation my personal testimony of one document related to one of these ongoing topics, which I saw while in office serving on the State Federal Relations and Veterans Affairs Committee. The document I saw was an official brief to President Eisenhower. To the best of my memory, this brief was pervaded with a sense of hope, and it informed President Eisenhower of the continued presence of extraterrestrial beings here in the United States of America. The brief seemed to indicate that a meeting between the President and some of these visitors could be arranged as appropriate if desired. The tone of the brief indicated to me that there was no need for concern, since these visitors were in no way causing any harm or had any intention whatsoever of causing any disruption then or in the future.
When we look at this video, we have to ask ourselves, how many other craft have we shot at? How many other craft have we shot down? And if we ourselves are ever to become a spacefaring civilization, can we expect the same hospitality when we visit other worlds?
Take the U.S. National Missile Defense System. Well, that's $1 trillion weapon system. That's the most expensive weapon system in the history of the world. And that's a weapon system which will develop the technology for putting space-based platforms and space weapons, laser weapons, space-based interceptors in space in order to attack benevolent extraterrestrial civilizations that are really here on an integrated galactic plan for the benefit of our planet.
I doubt that there's a single member of Congress that's in the loop as far as the alien secret is concerned. I doubt if there's one. I'll bet you that there are a lot of things that they're financing that they don't know about. This is a dereliction of duty on their part because they have a responsibility to be protectors of the public purse and to know what they're doing, and I don't think they do. How can you have proper civilian control of the military if they don't know what's going on?
Shortly before 9/11, in the summer of '01, Rumsfeld told the Senate that they could not track $2.3 trillion in transactions. Now, just to put that in context, the Pentagon's official budget for that fiscal year was about $310 billion, or 1/8 the amount. How is it possible to lose 8 times your annual budget? After 9/11, that question, that is the missing Pentagon money, literally became tabled as a matter of national security. What is clear is that there's a lot of money flowing through federal offices that is of uncertain origin and of uncertain destination. And that's a perfect way to siphon out billions and trillions of dollars for all kinds of covert activities that have no oversight whatsoever.
Interestingly enough, the majority of fatalities at the Pentagon on 9/11 involved members of the Army's accounting office, the very people who would be looking into the missing $2.3 trillion.
Muchas personas en Puerto Rico todavía se preguntan sobre el misterio que rodea la laguna Cartagena, que ubica en el barrio Maguayo del pueblo de Lajas, un pueblo al suroeste de Puerto Rico, donde se han avistado militares. Las personas también han visto de estos seres pequeños, los aliens, los que llaman los grises, también los han visto. Yo les pregunto a ustedes, ¿por qué están allí? ¿Qué hace el gobierno federal que adquirió esos terrenos? ¿Y por qué mucha gente está comentando esto? Pero no trate de investigarlo, porque si así lo hace, el gobierno lo pudiera matar a usted.
Individuals have come forward to reveal that human-looking extraterrestrials are living and walking amongst us. In 1975, a Swiss farmer by the name of Billy Meyer had a number of interactions with extraterrestrial visitors that lasted for a number of years. They came in ships that were witnessed by Meyer and a number of other independent individuals. Meyer took photographs of these ships. One of these visitors was named Semjase. She was a very beautiful extraterrestrial female who gave Meyer a philosophy of how humanity could deal more responsibly with the environment, with the rest of humanity, and with the other species on the planet.